I'm going to let the music play forever. I promise you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special edition of the Straub Bros Sports Show Rulers Minute NCAA Men's and Women's Bracket Crossover Special. Whew, don't make me say that again until the end of the show. Listen, I went solo last week. I had enough of that I called in double. Okay, I didn't want just little bro back this week. I had to call in my guy, my man from the 216 Sports Network, the host of the Rulers Minute, Rico McGee. Rico, as always, thanks for jumping on the show with us, bro.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you have been all over the 216 Sports Network Facebook page, you have seen my guy Rico covering the MAC tournament. I was there with him as well. I was on our Twitter account, Straub Bros Sports Show Twitter account, which I will throw up here in a second. We will have that. You can check us there as well. But let's get into where we're supposed. I'm all messed up. Let me get back to where I'm supposed to be. The 216 Sports Network. That's where you can find all of us. Follow and like us on Facebook. Like and subscribe on YouTube to find all of us and the rest of the lineup. The rest of that lineup, 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the J Rich Show, obviously the Rulers Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and the Straub Bros Sports Show. The Straub Bros Sports Show. You can also find us on TikTok at the SBSS. Please don't ban it. Please don't shut it down. Like, we're having fun there. Like, please don't do that. You can follow us on X, formerly as Twitter, at Straub Bros Sports. Like I said, that's where you could find all of my MAC coverage. You could also follow us and get us on Spotify, where you can catch up from all your episodes from the beginning. You can also follow Rico. Rico, throw your socials out as well. I know you got a TikTok, and I also know the TikTok is at Rulers Minute, correct?
Yeah, 216.
Yes, and then obviously you can find Rico on the 216 Sports Network Facebook page. We're also connected to his YouTube page today, so this is coming live. It's a crossover special. One of my favorite things that we're going to start to do, and obviously Mama's checking in with us as always. All right, no news, no footy, no nothing. Oh, and Mom giving you a special shout out too, because she's always rocking with us there. We're gonna jump right into the NCAA men's and women's bracket. We're gonna start with the women, because in my eyes, the women have more stars, and we're gonna lead off with the stars. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through both brackets. We're going to go through all the regions. I got some questions for these guys. These guys are going to throw some questions back at me, all kinds of stuff like that. And we're also going to let you know who we've got in our Sweet 16s, our Elite 8s, our Final Fours, and maybe even a prediction. I had to back out of my bracket because I couldn't do it, but you know what I mean. So Pops, want to let you know, hey, he's all in. What up, Rico? That's a hi from Pops. And then Mom says she's in the bracket. Yes, if you have not joined the men's and women's on ESPN.com, you can go into groups and search the Straub Bros Sports Show, and you can jump into the Straub Bros Sports Show bracket challenge. Rico's in or getting in. Me and Straub are in. Straub, last time you updated me before the pod, what were the numbers?
So we currently have 12 people on the men's side. We have 6 people on the women's side. Honestly, the women's side looks a lot more fun. So I would say definitely jump in there if you haven't already. But both are going to be great. It's free to join. And at least the top 5 from each bracket, whoever gets the most points each week will get their name put up on the Straub Bros Sports Show until the end of the tournament. So jump in.
Absolutely. And we'll put you in the banner. We'll give you a shout out in the banner as well. All right. So like I said, we're going to start with the women's side. So my graphic man, give me my brackets.
Hook me up,
sir.
First, we'll start with the women's. We can see the bracket right here. You got the Albany 1 region on the top left, the Albany 2 region on the top right. Then if we head on to the bottom, we got Portland 3 and Portland 4 to wrap it up. First, we are going to start with the Albany 1 region, where you have your number 1 overall seed, South Carolina.
Beautiful. Rico, I'm going to ask you the question, and we're going to get it out of the way right here at the top of the show. Does anybody on this side of this bracket even have a chance?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you've seen glimpses of where South Carolina is going to straight up dominate a team, and then you see where when they weak, they almost could get knocked off. I mean, probably would have lost in the semifinal round of the SEC championship if they would have guarded. Forgot her name. Excuse me, but they left her wide open. She hit the shot. Probably would have lost. So, honestly, if South Carolina plays as dominant as I know they can and probably will, I don't see anybody beating South Carolina. The only team, honestly, I think Notre Dame could give them a run for their money, and that's no lie. Like, it sounds crazy, I know, but I think Notre Dame could give them a run for their money, but I don't see anybody really stepping up and beating South Carolina outside of maybe Notre Dame.
100%. And I'm going to touch on all of my Go Irish and my ladies here in a second, because I only get to talk about them in the ladies section because the men didn't make the tournament. Drew, I guess the same question for you. South Carolina, the most dominant team we've had all year, 32-0. We know all of that. Wins the SEC championship. Pick a team, find me a game. Who is it? Notre Dame? Is it somebody else? Who can do it in this side of the bracket? Or is there no chance?
So I think I agree with Rico with there is a chance. And I think in the case of a chance is you've seen South Carolina's weaknesses. Like Rico said, you saw it in the SEC tournament, but you also saw it against a team that is right below them and will play them in the next round, North Carolina. Now, both of those teams have really had under the radar seasons. North Carolina has been up and down, but most of their losses has been close, including a 7-point loss to South Carolina. On the other side, Michigan State has an impressive resume, but has kind of been overlooked by, Ohio State, Iowa, Indiana, those bigger teams. So that first game right after South Carolina plays Sacred Heart or Presbyterian, that is a first major test to see how legit this South Carolina team will be the rest of the tournament. And I think based on that game, we will see if South Carolina has the stamina to make it through the rest of the tournament, or will it be like last year where they kind of ran out of steam and they lose that momentum and they end up losing and spoiling their perfect season.
So, this one was tough for me because got to be 100% honest. When I went in and filled in my bracket right off rip, I absolutely had Notre Dame all the way in there with South Carolina. And on my first bracket, I put Notre Dame through. Then we found out that Notre Dame player Kylie Watson tore her ACL in that ACC championship and will miss the tournament. Honestly, that's big. Like, they are now going to struggle at some point during the Kent State game. And spoiler, Notre Dame and Kent State going to give a shout out to your 2024 women's MAC championship, or MAC champions, the Kent State Golden Flashes women's basketball team. They take on Notre Dame. Originally, Notre Dame, I had no problem. I wrote Notre Dame all the way in. Now with this injury, though, it's going to be tough. Ole Miss, a good ball club. Oregon State, not a bad team. Now they're going to sit there, and if Notre Dame gets through, and if you can throw that side of the bracket up for me again, if Notre Dame gets through, they're immediately going to get, obviously, Missouri or Mississippi or Marquette. But then there you go, Oregon and Oregon State and potentially somebody else kind of sitting there waiting for them. So that could potentially be tough for the Irish coming up. All right, fellas, fill your bracket in for me. Who do you have in your Sweet 16 there, and who do you have into your 8 and your 4s? Rico.
I'm going to be honest. The full bracket, my Sweet 16, I have – hold on.
Yeah, just for this Region 1.
Okay, for Region 1, I got Notre Dame, because I still think they're going to find a way. They're a good ball club. I have Oregon State. I have Indiana. I have South Carolina making the Sweet 16.
Beautiful. Strabo.
Yes.
Oh, my bad. So that was just the Sweet 16. Keep going, Rico.
Okay. Yeah, for the region.
Yeah. And then, for the Sweet. Okay, so then I guess we'll go that region, and then we'll touch on the Elite 8 and the Final 4 as we come back in. So, Straub, give me your Sweet 16. Give me who makes it out of here for you.
Yeah, so I agree with Rico in the South Carolina and Notre Dame because I just think those are two overwhelming forces, regardless of the injuries or previous play. However, there are some couple teams that I think are going to make somewhat of a run and kind of shake this up. And as my shirt says, we're going to let the shenanigans begin right now. My first one is Indiana versus Fairfield. Now,
Okay.
Indiana is very good, but however, they have become severely reliant on Mackenzie Holmes to be healthy because they are a completely different team without her. Just to give them some perspective, with her, they had an 86-69 win over Caitlin Clark's Iowa, which is a amazingly dominant win. However, during the tournament, they were up 13 points to Michigan in the conference tournament. Mackenzie Holmes got hurt. They ended up losing by 14. So Indiana is going to be massively reliant on her to stay healthy and be productive enough because they are facing a Fairfield team that currently has only one loss this entire year to a Vanderbilt team in their third game of the season. They hold the second longest winning streak in the country. They are the third most efficient offense in the country in 2-point shots, and they have won every game in their conference by an average of 18 points. Fairfield is a team that I've talked about. We talked about when they entered the top 25 later on in the year, and I think they are a team that is going to surprise some people. And if Indiana does not get Mackenzie Holmes back healthy enough, and I don't think they will, I have Fairfield in my Sweet 16 with then a win over Oklahoma as well.
I'm gonna steal something, and I apologize if we're not allowed, but not so fast, my friend. Okay. Okay.
Not even the right sport either.
No, I know. So here's the obvious. I have South Carolina just like everybody else. Okay. I also agree with the both of you that Notre Dame will make it. I think the top level talent on that team will still take over. I think Hannah Hidalgo is going to show out like she has all year. Your ACC rookie of the year, player of the year, defensive player of the year. Yeah, eat that all up. I think Notre Dame will take on Oregon State. And I think South Carolina takes on Indiana. I think they do. I think she does stay healthy. I think my theme for my bracket is big players are going to carry the teams on the women's side. So, like I said, give me South Carolina and Indiana. Give me Oregon State and Notre Dame for region number 1. And I'm assuming, little bro, I can just hit bloop and get it going on. Yes, I can. Well done. So we're going to jump over here to region number 2, the Albany region, your number 1 seed. And come on. I mean, I wish you had the TikTok loaded up here so I could have just gone through it. But this bracket is all about 2 teams for me. The first one, Caitlin Clark. Oh, I mean, that's not her team. Iowa. And then my other favorite basketball team that isn't Notre Dame. Yes, I have multiple favorites in women's college basketball, and I don't care. And that would be the LSU Tigers. This is a monster region. This region has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 really, really good teams in it. When you give me Iowa, when you give me West Virginia, when you give me UCLA, and you give me LSU, also with Colorado mixed in there as well. This is a deep, deep side. So, fellas, my question to you, and I guess we will start with you, Rico. Who takes down Caitlin Clark, or does anyone take down Caitlin Clark?
I got LSU beating. I got LSU winning that again. I'm sorry. I think LSU's defense is really the unsung hero of the Tigers this season. I mean, listen, offensively, that. Sorry. Somebody calling me. Scam. I just think they find a way to shut down Caitlin Clark again. I think Ohio State maybe exposed some things with Iowa in the regular season, and I think LSU is they're just too deep in that experience. I mean, they're the defending national champions. Give me LSU over Iowa in the Sweet 16 round.
Well, that would be Elite 8. So who do you have?
Elite 8, excuse me.
So let's step back before that. Who do you have with Iowa and LSU? Just curious.
I got Colorado and I got UCLA.
Chalk. I think there's going to be some chalk all around here. So, Drew, talk to me about that region.
Yeah, so I completely agree with Rico on the Sweet 16. However, I don't think LSU can get past UCLA.
Ooh.
I think UCLA's just their all around is so well balanced. Their offense is really well balanced. They're really good passing. They're really good at passing, moving the ball, distributing. And I think UCLA has turned it on enough later in the season where LSU, I think, has still kind of hasn't moved the needle crazy enough for me. I think UCLA gets one over on them. But, and Ken's going to like this, I still have Iowa topping that region. I think what you said a couple pods ago was really good. Now that the Caitlin Clark, all the accolades are done with, there's no more pressure. I think they're playing much more team basketball and less focused on her, and that makes them so much better. I like Iowa, and I think that in this brutal, brutal region, I think they escape, and I think that they are a massive test for whoever they face in the other region and in the Final Four.
So first thing I want to do is I want to give a shout out to frequent pod commenter and listener, my guy Nick, because these are his UCLA. Those are his girls. So he picked them to hit the Final Four. So that would mean they would have to take down LSU and Caitlin Clark. But this is what I'm gonna say. First of all, West Virginia head coach already talking about how it would be good to beat Iowa. Okay, I hope she puts 60 on your butts. Okay, just because you're out here talking way too much. I don't. All right, I got nobody touching Iowa or LSU. I'm gonna be honest. However, Iowa is gonna have a close game with whoever wins between West Virginia and Princeton. And if Colorado gets through, another rematch. I think the problem for Iowa is going to be, and the thing that they have to watch for, is all of these rematches. Not all of them are in their favor. Yes, they would love to get LSU again and to be able to, and everybody talking trash back and forth. A matchup between her and Angel Reese again would be amazing. Colorado, they beat last year in the tournament. So Colorado wants them just as bad as Iowa wants to get through. So they definitely need to watch that. But you're absolutely 100% right, bro. And I was right. So, of course, all of the individual stuff is gone. The records have been broken. The trophy, she's got everything. It is now 100% about the team. And you know what? I'll be honest. And I know we're talking a lot of Iowa here, but there's a reason. There's a reason we gave South Carolina their own. Can anyone even touch them? Iowa, there's nothing wrong with them playing a little bit of selfish ball in terms of feeding her and allowing her to ball out and break the records that she did. I got no beef with that. But they've actually had the entire tournament, Big Ten tournament, to get ready, and they're starting to look scary. But LSU, my girls at LSU, Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith, though I love that squad. I'm not the biggest fan of their coach. I didn't get to talk to either of you about it, but the beef back and forth between South Carolina and LSU, the contrast in comments between Dawn Staley basically apologizing to the college basketball world on behalf of her team, and then Baylor coach Kim Mulkey saying, well, why don't you try to fight my best player? But whatever. I know that's not fair to bring up, but LSU is going to have a tough time with UCLA, but I think they'll get through. And I think this time Iowa gets LSU.
So I will agree with you on one thing, and this is one thing I want to bring up here. UCLA, I think, has the advantage over LSU, but they have a massive test right before that. Because if you look in the UCLA California Baptist right above that, it's Creighton versus UNLV. And both of those teams are sneaky dangerous. Creighton this year has tied the record for wins in a season under Jim Flannery. They are right behind UConn in the Big East, and I'm talking like right there. I think they can kind of go far. All 6 players that made that Elite 8 run 2 years ago as a 10 seed are still on that team. And if we're talking UNLV, this is their second straight season with 30 wins. Only South Carolina as a D1 school has done that, and they are a dominant force. So UCLA is going to have a massive test in that second round. But if they get through, I think that they have the wherewithal to beat LSU. But if they don't, I do like LSU's chances.
I have nothing else after you just did all that. Rico?
I don't either. I
mean, when you kill it like that, little bro, we just kind of keep it rolling after that, my guy.
Creighton is not going to be Creighton, like you said, Creighton is not going to be. Creighton is probably the most dangerous team and probably the most slept on team, probably in the whole tournament, to be honest with you. Not even just in the region, but in the entire tournament.
Yep. And honestly, I can understand it to a point. Women's college basketball is still very top heavy. It's just we've expanded what that top is. It used to just be 2 or 3 teams. Now we have South Carolina. We're going to get to a couple of the other ones in Texas and Tennessee, but we have UCLA, we have Iowa, and we have another team that I'm about to give a bunch of love coming up to here in the next bracket too. Moving on to that bracket, number 1 seed in the Portland region, that would be USC. But first of all, I think this is an underrated region. Number 1, that's what I wrote down because we just got done talking about how dangerous that region is with UCLA, with LSU, with Iowa. This region has USC, a Baylor team that is a bit underrated. Hello, Paige Buckner's in UConn. Oh, and then a little team named the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, everybody knows if you listen to this pod, I am not the biggest fan of Buckeyes. It's more of your fan base. But I will give you credit where credit is due, as much as I talked about Marvin Harrison. But getting back to the girls, this team is talented. Macy Sheldon, Cody McMahon. Tell me Ohio State can't make a run. Rico?
They'll make a run, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see them getting past UConn. Do not see them getting past UConn. Paige Buckner is averaging 21 points a game, and when she gets going, she's hard to stop. She's like a can of Pringles. Once you pop, it just don't stop. You understand what I'm saying? So if they could find, I'm going to be honest, if Ohio State could find a way to slow her down, that's probably about 60% of your offense, maybe. If they could find a way to slow her down, then maybe they have a shot, but I just don't see it happening. I think UConn gets past Ohio State, and Ohio State will definitely get past Duke, though. I haven't really been sold on Duke, men or women's team this season. That's just me, though.
No, I don't disagree with you. Strabo, talk to me about the Portland region.
Yeah, I might be a prisoner of the moment, but I really like this Ohio State team. I think they've just gelled and they've gotten better and better. And I think they're hitting their peak at the exact right time. And I don't know. I have a feeling that this UConn team, it's good, but it's not the UConn of old where their presence was enough to, spot them like 5 or 6 points, maybe 10. I think that this Ohio State team is going to really battle. It'll be close. I like Ohio State, and I actually have Ohio State in my Final Four, beating UConn and then beating, like you said, a very underrated Baylor team in the Elite Eight.
Woo! Scorching hot earth. So here's the thing. I did fill out my bracket on both sides, and brackets are not due until Thursday at noon almost, basically until the first game starts. So I have every right to change everything that I am about that is written on my bracket and throw it away and come right into right now. So number 1, I think USC has an easier route for the most part to the Sweet 16. I think they benefited. I'm going to get this one out of the way now. I love this Ohio State team. Like you said, on fire right now and playing great basketball at the right time. I know they didn't win the Big Ten, but that doesn't matter. They're playing good basketball at the right time. So I really like that. But I have USC. I have Baylor. I have an underrated Baylor squad. And then I have UConn and Ohio State. And I'm going to be honest, I have USC advancing. I'm kind of on a coin flip right now because, like I said, what I'm going to talk about and what I agree with is big players on the women's side stepping up for their teams. So Paige Buckner's. But it is hard the way Ohio State has shut down Caitlin Clark at Iowa once already. Like they are playing big time ball and they've got players as well. So I'm a little torn. So for right now, I'm going to go with what my original. Oh, go ahead. I'm going to throw it to Rico in a second. Go ahead.
No, finish your point, bro. Finish your point.
I'm going to go with my original pick right now, which is USC versus Ohio State in that Sweet 16 or in the Elite Eight. So I've got USC, Baylor, UConn, Ohio State. Back to you, Rico.
We can't forget about Virginia Tech.
And yes, Mama, we are still on the girls.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
We cannot forget about Virginia Tech because they have a solid team. Elizabeth Kitley is 6th in the country in points and rebounds. She's averaging like 22 points and 11 rebounds a game. So let's not forget about Virginia Tech. They've got some firepower too on offense.
And I'm gonna tell on Rico just a little bit. Listen, my man Rico rides for his Virginia. Okay, the state of Virginia. My man Rico rides for the state of Virginia. Okay, so I'm not surprised at all. He absolutely is giving some love to Virginia Tech, but that doesn't mean you're wrong in any way at all.
Yeah. Now, will it be enough firepower for them to get past Baylor? Honestly, that's one of them games where it's a toss up. I can't be mad if you go either way. Can't be mad.
Absolutely. So anybody else, anything they want to point out, any game they want on this region before we move on to our final region?
I think the only one that I am looking out for is I want to see the winner of that Auburn-Arizona game in the play-in, and I want to see how they take on that number 6 Syracuse, because Syracuse is good, but they are definitely beatable, and both of those teams can put a lot of firepower in and knock them off.
Number one, yes. And number two, the other thing is, let's say it is Auburn or Arizona that upsets. By the time they get to play UConn, as long as Connecticut or UConn takes care of their business like they should, but they've already won 2 games and are rolling before they get in there with UConn. So and everybody just expects UConn and Ohio State to just eat everyone up before they get to each other. So there's always something to watch there on that side. But yeah, I like that. All right, guys, let's keep it rolling. Let's get to our last region. Rico, did you have anything else before I do keep it sliding?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Our last region, Portland, the number 1 seed, Texas, takes on Drexel. Our number 2 seed, Stanford. A Horizon League candidate or automatic bid winner, Green Bay. Milwaukee is in there too. Me and Rico familiar with them. Before we do all of this, I'll get this out of the way so me and Rico could have the floor for a second. The Cleveland State University women's basketball team should have been in this field as well. I'm sorry that I'm using Green Bay's moment to kind of throw that in there, but both of these teams should have made it. But nevertheless, I know Rico feels the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. But yes, we also have North Carolina State, we have Maryland, we have Tennessee. So, fellas, this region here, yes, we have Texas at the 1 seed, but there are some other good teams in this region. I don't think this has a dominant team. I don't really think Texas has been as dominant as some of the other number 1 seeds. Is this the region that is the most up for grabs for you?
I think this is the most competitive region, yes, because Florida State is good. Tennessee is always going to be Tennessee. Then you got North Carolina State. Stanford is playing some lights out, punch you in the mouth basketball, and they're really my pick to come out of this region. But we'll wait for that, later on. But honestly, this is really hard to tell. It's just one of them things where anybody could win at any given time and anybody could be upset. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas lost in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised. Wow. I would not be surprised.
Wow. We got some odds on that we will touch on later. Drew, do you agree?
No, I completely agree. And I want to touch on what he said because so in my Sweet 16, I have Stanford, which is pretty chalk. I have Gonzaga, which is a pretty thing. However, I got two interesting ones. When you said you weren't surprised if Texas would lose early, I have Florida State overtopping Texas. I think Florida State has had a decent run this past couple of weeks. I think that I think Texas, like you said, is very vulnerable. It's very up for grabs. I don't like them as a 1 seed, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think they really deserve the 1 seed. And I think this is a team that is easily able to get beat. However, my other team, and this is one where you took the spotlight away from Green Bay, I'm bringing it back to Green Bay.
Ooh.
Now, Tennessee, great team, very historic team. But I will say this has been a very average season for the Lady Vols. They had a good run in conference tourney that saw them almost beat South Carolina, if not for a buzzer beater. So they proved they belong in the tournament. They've also been to 2 Sweet 16s right before this. But they were the host for both of those early round games. the last time they were on the road in an early round game. It was in 2019 where they lost to 11 seed UCLA. Green Bay is an 11 seed. This is their first tournament since 2018. They beat, like you said, regular season champ Cleveland State in the conference championship. They took down a ranked Creighton and Washington State during the season. And they are uber efficient. They have 7 players scoring at least 6 points a game in the Horizon League. My final Sweet 16 in a shocker is Green Bay being one of those double digits to make the Sweet 16. I think they are going to just grind down some of these teams and continue to just put points over and over, and while they are getting stops, and I think they are a team to watch.
And believe it or not, he's not wrong. Green Bay is definitely one of the most slept on teams in the country. The Horizon League period has been pretty competitive. So, I mean, he's not wrong. Green Bay is a solid basketball team. They average about 75 points a game, neck and neck with Cleveland State. And of course, I'm going to bring up Cleveland State. But Green Bay definitely deserves to be in this tournament. And it would not surprise me if they made a Cinderella moment and a deep run in this tournament.
No, I don't want to get clipped, and I don't want to get turned into something being negative.
Oh,
no, on my end, none of what I had to say about Cleveland State was meant to be negative in any way about Green Bay. So my aunt to you is going to get clipped if by somebody on the Green Bay side, if they could beat Tennessee. But the reason I said that is because I am going with something different. I understand exactly what you're saying. Green Bay is efficient. I've watched them multiple times this year. I saw what they did to Cleveland State in the Horizon League title game, and they handled Cleveland State, and they looked ready for the tournament. But you know what helps you get ready for the tournament? When you have to play the best team by far in the country 3 separate occasions. Tennessee has had to play South Carolina 3 times this year. And on one occasion, more than one occasion, hung in there, but almost beat them in the SEC conference tournament. I like Tennessee to make a complete run out of this bracket. I have Texas number 1. I disagree with you both there. I think Texas is going to make it to the Sweet 16. I think they just have enough talent to keep it rolling. I have, and I don't know the last time we talked about this, so I'm going to give them some love. When is the last time we talked about the Gonzaga women over the Gonzaga men? Give me the Gonzaga women to make a run all the way to the Sweet 16 as well. And then I like you talked about, Rico, this Stanford team, the way they are playing, give me them versus the team I talked about off top, Tennessee, making that Sweet 16 run. That was why, unfortunately, I gave you that stick about Green Bay. Is I think Tennessee is going to make a big time run there.
I agree.
Anybody else throw in anything you want to in this bracket before we kind of hop into our Elite 8 and we hop into our Final 4?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. All right, bro. Do you want to go up to the whole bracket and we'll do it that way?
Yep. Let me do that. And,
I like the prediction by Pops.
I do.
Gonzaga women go further than the Gonzaga men. I have to double check my bracket, but I may actually have that.
I'm pretty sure I have that as well. Yeah.
Coming true. The Gonzaga men have just been up and down. Is Drew Timme still there? Is he still playing for Gonzaga?
I honestly have no idea.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. I couldn't actually remember.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Here, I'm going to find out for us before we hit our Elite 8 and we talk about the rest of that. So, I guess first things first, bro. I guess no, he's not. Okay, my bad.
G League.
Oh, my bad. How would you guys talk about college basketball if you don't
I wouldn't be surprised.
It was a joke. Get over it. All right. So, back into our women's brackets. Your Elite 8. I have South Carolina and Notre Dame. I think both of you have that as well.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
South Carolina.
Yeah, like you said, if there wasn't that massive injury, I would get it kind of close. But if South Carolina is going to make it all the way to the Elite 8, that means they're rolling and they're up for it. I don't think that they're going to be stopped until at least the Final 4.
I know. I know. I get it.
I can't do it though. I can't do it though. I love my Irish ladies. They're going to be back next year for sure when they are healthy, and they are going to be, excuse me, a Final Four team. I'll put my name on that. But no, I like South Carolina as well to make it to the Final Four. I have Texas and Tennessee in my matchup. I don't believe either of you have that. So here, I'll get mine out of the way. I disagree with both of you. I have Texas beating Tennessee and making a run to the Final Four. Drew, who do you have in your Elite Eight? Oh, no, I went to Region 4, didn't I? But that's the way my bracket went, so I apologize. But Drew, give me your Region 4 Elite Eight teams and winner.
Yes. So, like I said, I had Florida State beating Texas. I also have them beating Gonzaga to make the Elite Eight. And then, unfortunately, the Cinderella story of Green Bay does end when Stanford comes and shows why they're Stanford, and that will take them all the way beating Florida State. I think there's going to be too much, and I have Stanford in my Final Four.
Stanford in your Final Four. That is not a bad pick. And Rico.
I kind of agree with Drew. We got the same thing.
Beautiful.
I got Florida State beating Texas if they play, and then I got Florida State beating Gonzaga in the Sweet 16, and I got Stanford and Florida State in the Elite Eight.
This is beautiful.
I got Stanford and Florida State in the Elite Eight, and I have Stanford beating Florida State, and South Carolina and Stanford will be your one Final Four matchup on the left side.
I love that. I love that we're not just chalk and agreeing with each other.
Very
this
smart
is great.
man.
Absolutely. So on mine, I have Region 2 next. I have Iowa versus LSU. Drew, you have Iowa versus UCLA. So I'm gonna come on, man. I can't do it now. Listen, I love the LSU Tigers. I love Angel Reese. She's gonna be a dog in the WNBA. I love Haley Van Lith. I don't know if she's gonna be in the WNBA, but she should be because she got some handles and she can shoot. But I'm all on this Caitlin Clark train, and I'm gonna ride it. So give me the Iowa Hawkeyes over the LSU Women's Tigers. I'm so sorry that I had to do that, but yes, give me that. We'll go to Rico first because Rico has what I have, and then we'll throw it to you, Drew. So Rico, Iowa and LSU, what do you got?
I got LSU. That experience, Angel Reese, yeah, exactly. They know what it is. They've beaten them before. They've been confident all season, even though they've had, up and down moments. I think LSU wants revenge. They want blood because that South Carolina championship game got kind of chippy at the end, and people forget about that. Give me LSU over Iowa, and LSU will be in the second Final Four game.
Drew, after we get your prediction, it'll remind me to ask a question about South Carolina real quick.
Yeah. So like I said, I disagree with you guys, but I still have Iowa, but I do have UCLA. And I think, like I said, I think that's just that group, I think is super just well knit together. And I think that they're going to come and just make a storm through this. But I do think that this is Iowa's at least tournament in terms of getting to a national championship. I think this is Iowa's moment, maybe not winning, but getting there. I think that they are going to scratch and claw and do everything in their power to get there. And so I have Iowa over UCLA. And, we'll see. We'll see from there.
I have two questions now. Number one, for both of you. Oh, no, I'll get the easy one out of the way. How long of a TikTok do I get to make if Iowa does win a national championship? Can I just do the whole show just talking about Caitlin Clark? Okay. Number
0 minutes.
My question for both of you. South Carolina is going to be without one of their best players in the first round. Is there any chance that actually affects them in any way?
Hell no.
That's a great answer. I love it. And that's my
fault. They got 6 players averaging 10 plus points or 9 plus points. They'll have somewhat of a drop off, but no. Yeah, what Rico said, man. No.
Well coached to let the loss of one player affect them. Their motto is probably one missing clown ain't gonna stop the circus, and not to call them clowns, but
exactly.
That's a saying. Please don't. I'm not calling anybody a clown. I want to make sure y'all understand. That's a saying.
We're good. We're good. No, you're good. You're good. You're good there. I do want to point out, like we said, we had talked about that. That's I was driving this car. I'm supposed to be driving the show. I'm supposed to be doing my best. And now I lost his name. Reese, my best Reese Davis, college football hosting job, and I've got Jay Billis with my nerdy stats, and then I've got I don't know who else is on the.
Is it Jay Williams?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll make it racially correct. We'll give Rico J. Williams' role on this, and that's how we're going. So I'm a bad host for not asking about South Carolina having one of their players out when we talked about South Carolina. So I hit a Yui. I spun the block real quick. We're good. We're headed on out now. Okay. You put it up for me. Beautiful. Your championship and Final Four odds. So like I said, I have in my Final Four, I have South Carolina. We all have South Carolina, obviously the prohibitive favorite to make it. And it's not even close. Like, look, as you see the odds, it's not even close to even pick anybody. LSU, Iowa. I'm surprised UCLA. Yeah, okay, Final Four. There you go. 300. But yeah, so as you see some of those odds there, but I have South Carolina and Texas, excuse me, double fine. And I have Iowa and Ohio State. I have South Carolina and Iowa both winning and making it to the national championship game. Rico. Mom, yes, you have a question. Go ahead. Get it in there, Mom. But go ahead, Rico. Give me your Final Four.
I have South Carolina and Stanford in the first matchup. And then the second matchup, I have LSU and UConn, just because I could never count out UConn. I have South Carolina and LSU playing in the SEC championship rematch with South Carolina beating LSU again.
Beautiful. And I didn't give my national championship pick. And I love that, Rico.
No,
that's okay. Rico, you rolled right on through it. I had no problem with that. That's beautiful. Strabo, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, Rico, I love that left side. I love South Carolina versus Stanford. I also love South Carolina making it, but we are on complete opposites when it comes to the right side. I have Iowa and Ohio State, Big Ten matchup. I have Iowa coming through and knocking off a very hot Ohio State team, making it. But I also think that this is the year where South Carolina proves it is on another level than the rest. I have South Carolina beating Iowa. Caitlin Clark still does not get a national championship, and South Carolina continues to prove that it is another UConn.
She probably gonna get like 3 WNBA titles. She's gonna walk in the WNBA with a chip on her shoulder and just bust everybody butt like back and get on some college tip.
Oh man, South Carolina looks. I mean, yeah, they don't just look good; they look beyond good. All right, so I said I had South Carolina and I had Iowa. What I put into my final bracket on Thursday will be what my pick will be. But in the meantime, this is the podcast, and I got to roll, and I got to keep on rolling with it. Give me Iowa in the biggest upset in the history of college basketball. Caitlin Clark with 100 points wins it for Iowa. I mean, I'm probably not going to bet on that, but why not? I got to ride with this. Give me Iowa in the worst pick of all time, the most homerish half pick, while I'm also saying I'm going to pick South Carolina on Thursday. I am an awful human being, but you know what? It's my podcast. I'm allowed to do what I want. But I think it's Iowa and South Carolina. I mean, it's hard. Like, South Carolina is so dominant. It's not fun. I'm not going to lie. So you two both pick South Carolina. Give me Iowa. F it. I don't even care. Let's do it, Caitlin Clark. So that will do it. She pulls a Walt. Yes. I have no idea what Dad is talking about, because it's probably, is he talking about Walt Frazier, Walt Chamberlain? I'm not exactly.
Chamberlain.
Oh, because I said 100 points. I had just made fun of Pop being old, and he matched my joke. My
God.
I don't even think it's so much of a Wilt. She pulls a Walt. She pulls a Carmelo Anthony like performance where he dragged that Syracuse team through. Give me something like that from a girl, Caitlin Clark. Mello with the braids, baby. Let's go. So that will do it for the women's side of the bracket. What I am going to do is we are going to take about a 20-second break. Everybody reset, get your men's brackets out, get ready. If you've not filled one out, jump into the Straub Bros Sports Show Bracket Challenge right now on ESPN. You can go to the groups. You can search the Straub Bros Sports. It'll come up before you finish that. As soon as you hit Straub, it'll come on up. So we're going to take like a 20-second break. We're going to reset, and then we'll be back with your men's bracket.
I'll be right back.
Welcome back. Sorry about that. I had to take us a quick little break, reset the brackets, reset my bladder, reset everything else. Hydrating I got to do once I get home from work, so that's my bad there. But it gave everybody a chance to get your brackets back in, and let us get rolling on the men's side. I think we could say this before we even get to the men's bracket. Star power is heavy on the women's side. In terms of depth, in terms of who can actually win this thing, I had a really hard time filling this bracket out. I think I have changed my final four about 400 times. But I mean, before we talk too much about that, bro, help me out. King of the graphics, handle the graphics, and there is your men's Division 1 NCAA bracket and bracket challenge. All right, we are going to start, obviously, okay, with your number 1 seeds, UConn, Houston, North Carolina, and Purdue. As we start over here on the east side, we start with number 1 seed, UConn. So I guess on that side, this is UConn's side to lose, no? I mean, this is quite honestly I think the easiest side of the bracket. I could be wrong if you two disagree with me, but I'm going to argue that. But I think this is kind of UConn's to win. I have some other teams to look out for, but do you guys agree? Rico, I'll start with you.
UConn, who's been dominant all season, only lost 3 games. It seems like they have a pretty much an easy ride to the Final Four. I mean, you can't sleep on teams like Auburn or San Diego State. Northwestern could give you a run for your money as well. I think the most dangerous team outside of Iowa State that stands in the way of UConn is probably Florida Atlantic. It's their division to lose. I think in the East, UConn really controls their own destiny.
Strabo?
Yeah, I like that. I like UConn. I think it's a team that is built to go the distance, but going back to back is incredibly hard. I think the last back-to-back owners was Florida when they had Joakim Noah and Al Horford. That's ages ago in terms of my years.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
But there are some teams I think can do it. Like you said, Iowa State. I think you have Auburn, which is a really dangerous team as long as they can prove that they're not doing it just against, lower SEC teams. They can do it with everybody else. BYU with their three-point shooting can get super hot and potentially take some teams out by surprise. So UConn is the favorite by far, yes. But I don't think that they are as indestructible as some people are putting them out to be. I think there is definitely some teams, especially in this side of the bracket, that could take this team out.
100%. That's what I wrote down. Iowa State, San Diego State. Are you real? Are you real? Then go show us. Go get UConn. You know what I mean? San Diego State will obviously have the first crack there. But that is 100% how I feel.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, brother. I had to bring my bracket back up real quick to get to the Sweet 16 there for the men's side. I agree with you about this Auburn team. Shout out to Charles Barkley. Shout out to Sir Charles. I have them making a run to the Sweet 16, honestly, and facing up against UConn. The other team that I actually kind of do believe in is this Iowa State team. I have them, and here I'm going to get it out of the way now. I have them facing one of my upset teams, and that would be the 11 seed.
Duquesne, baby.
Duquesne. I almost called them Duquesnes. Wow.
Don't worry, I was just in Pittsburgh. I said Duquesne and I got corrected immediately. So it's Duquesne. I know it now. Don't worry.
I have them making a run as well, but here's another little sprinkle for you. You want to bet on somebody? You want to see a little upset? The Big Ten has not been strong this year. Number 14, Morehead State. Yes, I like it. I might touch it. I might sprinkle a little bit on it.
I don't know. I picked Illinois. I don't have Illinois getting out the second round, but I don't think they're gonna lose to Morehead State. But stranger things have happened. College basketball, especially March Madness. They don't call it March Madness for nothing. Somebody gonna leave mad. This is why I'm cussing every year in my bracket. One year I said I'm not gonna do this shit this year, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do this shit. Excuse my language.
That's okay. That's all right. We drop them in there all the time. So like I said, I have UConn, Auburn, Duquesne, and Iowa State. Straub, who do you have?
So I have UConn, Auburn, Iowa State, but then I have BYU. And I have BYU
because you're a Big 12 homer.
That is very true. But I think their three-point shooting, if they get hot at the right time, which they have, I think that is a very dangerous team. They can score 80 to 90 points a night. But to go back on your point on some upsets, because you talked about Duquesne, everyone is expecting San Diego State to come back and do exactly what they did, or at least try to do what they did last year. I don't think that's going to happen.
A 12 beats a 5 every year.
Hear me out. San Diego State has been 8-7 in the last 15 games. They have been more than average. Now, this UAB team is the exact opposite. They are currently on a 15-game win streak dating back to January 7th, including the American Championship. They are a gritty team. They have tough defense, and they have a high free throw rate, which is very key in these kind of tournaments. Now, I want to talk about this one guy in particular because when I was watching the championship, his name came up and they told his story. Christian Coleman is a current player on the UAB team, graduated high school with 0 offers in any division. He worked at Walmart for 2 years before attending a tryout with his friend in an NAIA school, LSU Alexandria. He excelled and transferred to a JUCO school in South Plains College, where he became the second-ranked JUCO player in 2023, averaging 16 points and 8 rebounds. He is now at UAB averaging 9 points and 5 rebounds a game. This team is full of players like that. He is like the 4th or 5th leading scorer on that team. UAB, this team is dangerous. They blew through the American Conference tournament. And I think this is a team that can upset a San Diego State team that has such high expectations from last year that they're gonna falter.
You listen, I don't need a lot to be sold in March Madness, but I literally changed my bracket as you were giving me that.
Everyone loves a good story, and good stories for some reason get you a win.
I mean, I hate to harp on some of the same things, but listen, that's how they become sayings on your show. I am a man who believes in a sport that where if you wear maize pants or you wear a green jersey, that you will play better. So you absolutely right. You give me a story like that, and I'm in. Give me UAB over give me UAB over not
San
over
Diego State.
Auburn. I'm sorry, but yeah, over
No,
San
not
Diego
over
State.
Auburn. Yeah, I
You
still
know,
have Auburn,
not
but
over Auburn. So yeah, that I do like that. Okay, let's move to the next. Move to the next region.
yes.
Oh, I'll take care of it, Strabo. That would be North Carolina as your 1 seed here in the West, Arizona, your 2 seed. This bracket side of the bracket also includes the Dayton Flyers, St. Mary's, Michigan State, and Baylor. I want to give a shout out to Baylor too. I don't want to give a shout out to Clemson because I'm a salty little guy like that. Rico, is this North Carolina? Is this a Tar Heel run? Is this are we looking at too much and this is going to be just the simplest little run out? Oh, you're muted, Rico. Drew, in the meantime, give me your thoughts on this bracket.
Yeah, so I unfortunately I kind of
there he
agree.
is. Rico's
Oh, there we
there.
go. All right, perfect.
Couple
Sorry
little bit
about
of sound. That's okay. That's what happens when I make us take a break in the middle of the pod. Tell me what you think about this side of the bracket. Like I said, that is it just North Carolina? Is they just running through?
I don't think they're just gonna run away with it. It's gonna be a grind because you got a lot of sneaky good teams. Grand Canyon is sneaky good. Grand Canyon is sneaky good. Baylor is good. New Mexico in 11 seed is pretty good. I mean, you got a lot of sneaky, dangerous teams. I think this region is going to be a lot closer. And then Alabama, Bama's going to be Bama. Bama has improved as a program over the last few years since Colin Sexton was there. So I don't think it's going to be as close. I still think UNC can pull it out because they still got Baycott, and I just think it's going to be a little closer than what people think it is going to be.
I can rock with that. Straub, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. However, I'm seeing a lot of upset potential in this region, and I think that might be the reason North Carolina gets through a lot of this because, like you said, Alabama is fast-paced, lots of scoring, but a lot of turnovers in terms of that. Grand Canyon, like you said.
Because Rico brought it up. He brought up Colin Sexton at Alabama. Shout out to Colin Sexton for playing in the greatest individual college basketball performance you may have ever seen when him and Alabama played 4-on-5.
It was 3-on-5.
I'm sorry, 3-on-5 and took the game to overtime and damn near won the game. It's one of the greatest individual basketball performances you will ever see in your life. So shout out to Colin Sexton, former Cleveland Cavalier on that. My bad, Drew. Jump back in. My fault.
No, yeah, you're good. But like you said, Grand Canyon is good. It's like St. Mary's, they have 5 players averaging double figures and a top 20 defense, but they're sometimes relying on Aiden Mahaney to be the only scorer. And so if that goes dry, what's going to happen there? Like you said, New Mexico, I think, is facing up a Clemson team that's been very up and down, especially in the ACC. And also, if you want to feel old, for New Mexico, the son of Rick Pitino is the head coach of New Mexico, and the son of Jamal Mashburn Jr. is the leading scorer on New Mexico. And so, just to put it out there a little bit.
Shut up, young man.
But what I'm saying is there is a lot of upside potential, and I think that's where North Carolina gets by. Also, Dayton's in this bracket. Wanted to put this out there because I was researching. You know how bad it sucked that we didn't get to see that Dayton team back in 2020, where they were 29-2 with Obi Toppin, because of the COVID year. Like, it just got me reminiscent on that. That I wanted to put out there because that team was so special.
That it was one of my teams to look out for, Dayton and St. Mary's, trying to make some noise kind of from your deeper seeds in this region, your 5 and your 7 respectively there. Nobody's talked about it, and I'm glad, so I get to point it out. Last time I checked, Tom Izzo still coaches at Michigan State, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. college basketball, a lot of times, especially when it comes into March, isn't always just your good players. It's a good coach. A really, really good coach can really help you in March. And last time I checked, that's what Tom Izzo does. Okay. Tom Izzo does March. So I have Michigan State upsetting. I know it's an 8-9 matchup. Mississippi State. And I think if North Carolina can get through that, I think they have an easier chance because I think Michigan State will test them. I don't care what that record is. That is going to be a team come tournament time that is not going to make a lot of mistakes. So that is one there. Obviously we talked about them. Charleston. I know we did talk about Alabama, but they are there at a 13 seed in terms of if you want to throw some money on a deeper seed. Colgate. We did give some love to Colgate. That 14 seed over to 3 cent. And hey, New Mexico. We talked about Clemson kind of, not being the hottest team in the ACC there. So New Mexico would be one to look out. But for my Sweet 16, no, I don't have them there. I have North Carolina. I have St. Mary's making that run to the Sweet 16. And then I have Baylor and the team that we have not talked about, Arizona.
I like it.
Rico. Straub, give me your Sweet 16.
Yeah, I tend to agree on North Carolina, Arizona. However, like I said, there was a lot of opportunity for upsets, and I'm taking the upsets here. First, I think New Mexico, they got a little rough towards the end, but I think that was due to injuries. They're getting healthy at the right time. I think they overtopped Clemson, and then I also think they overtopped Baylor, who is having a little bit of a down year and tends to keep teams in game. Coming from someone who's watched a lot of Big 12 basketball, they keep a lot of teams in games. And they don't really, it's not that they close it out, it's that the other teams fail to do so. So New Mexico, I think that they take advantage of that, and I think they go to the Sweet 16. Another one, and I think one who I think is going to be a little bit crazier, I have Grand Canyon making it to the Sweet 16. I have them topping St. Mary's. I think that St. Mary's is going to rely on Aiden Mahaney a little too much, and I think they're going to shut him down. I think it's going to be a really big win. And then when they go to Alabama, like I said, they are fast-paced. There's lots of scoring, but there's a lot of turnovers there. They have been very average down the stretch. They are 9-5 in their past 14 games. They are turning over the ball at 16% of their possessions. They are 163rd in defensive efficiency. I think Grand Canyon, as long as they play their game, can take advantage of that, and I think they will. And I like Grand Canyon in my Sweet 16.
I love it. I'm not even mad at it. I'd be okay with the upset because we know it's going to happen. And we've kind of been chalk for the most part. We know that there is an 11 seed of 13 seed. Somebody's going to make the run. It happens every single year. It's just, who the hell is it going to be? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to put a lot of chalk in because I want to make some money first. Rico, your Sweet 16.
I have UNC and I have Grand Canyon as well. I think Grand Canyon is going to be a bracket buster of this year. Excuse me. So I have UNC in Green Bay, and Grand Canyon. I'm sorry, and I have Baylor and Arizona. I think that is going to be one to watch for. I think Arizona has been one of the more consistent teams in the country, and I'm just going with Baylor and Arizona in that Sweet 16 matchup.
I love it. All right, let's keep it moving to the next side of the bracket. Oh, my bad. And that would be, I did it again. Your number, I know I am. I'm touching stuff when I'm not supposed to. Your number one seed in this region would be Houston, followed by Marquette. Some other big ones, obviously, you see them. You have Duke and Kentucky on this side of the bracket. NC State, who just made a monstrous run through the ACC tournament. Oakland from the Horizon League is in there as well. And then we have that 10 matchup between Boise State and Colorado. And I have to give this out because it's why I gave the shout out. That's Colin Sexton shout out from Alabama. I knew Nick would know would appreciate that, know exactly who we were talking about or what we were talking about there. But guys, I want to talk about this blue-blooded side of the board. Houston, Marquette. I mean, I get that they're the number 1 and 2 seed, but you have an extremely, extremely hot NC State team. And
just
then you
came
still
off
have
an ACC tournament win.
absolutely. And then,
Huge.
like I said, you still have Duke, Kentucky, Texas A&M. They would all like a word with Houston and Marquette. Rico, tell me what you think about this line.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I still think Houston is one of my picks. We'll talk about that later on. I think Houston's gonna, it's not gonna be easy because you still have Duke, who's a 4 seed, who's 24-8, but they've shown signs of weakness at times, especially against North Carolina twice this season. I think NC State is playing their best basketball, and I don't see them showing any signs of slowing down. I wouldn't be surprised if they got past Texas Tech, who's a very underrated basketball team, in my opinion. Very underrated. And I like Marquette, too. I think Houston's still gonna find a way to pull it out just because they're so efficient. I like Houston. I like Houston to come out.
Strabo.
God. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Rico. It's just I am so nervous about that Houston pick, man.
Yeah.
Because you watched him in that championship game against Iowa State, and Iowa State with that trap defense absolutely took them down. And so if that happens again, they got nothing.
There's always a lot of that in the NCAA tournament as well.
And so I like Houston. I think that they can get it together. I think Calvin Sampson is going to get that team absolutely ready. I'm not worried about that. But some other games that I think are a little bit less than chalk, because I think your Kentuckys or Marquettes are going to get pretty decent. I think some games to look out for. The 5-12, Wisconsin, James Madison. James Madison really having a similar season to Florida Atlantic season last year. They won a bunch of early games. They lost a couple of conference games, but they ended on a lengthy winning streak. So watch out for James Madison. I know we talked about him in football all the time, but having him in basketball here is going to be a really good one. And then the one that I'm really interested in is that Florida game with either Boise State or Colorado.
Yes, big time.
Because I know Florida had a lot of momentum, and I know they got some stuff going on, but I'm almost positive they just had an injury where he's going to be out.
But it's Florida. They choke.
And I really like that Colorado team if they can get past Boise State. I think that they have a lot of talent, and I think they have a chance to make some noise. See, Nick completely understands what I'm talking about here. Colorado is tough, and I like it. Maybe not to get past Marquette, but to make some noise and get past Florida.
Now here, I'll go right on that point first. I have Colorado winning that game. I have Colorado beating Florida, but I do have them losing to Marquette. I'm not going to lie. I got to be 100% honest on that one. You're good, Rico.
Actually, I'm sorry. The first 4 starts tonight. If they aren't playing right now,
yes,
6:40 is the first time.
Yeah, so as soon as we wrap up here, you will be able to literally jump in and find out who is. I don't care who it is. I have Colorado, but give me Boise or Colorado over Florida, but then losing to Marquette. I think that Oakland game is going to be tough for Kentucky. I'm not going to lie, but I think Kentucky will eventually kind of take over there. NC State, I like the hot team. I love me a hot team. I don't care how many days off they've had since that tournament. That team's playing lights off. So give me, and this is what I like. I also agree with your James Madison pick. Here's one of my lower seeds that I was already going to mention. James Madison. I love the upset over Wisconsin in the first round. And then I love them giving Duke a run too. I'm not going to lie there, but I don't think they'll actually win that game. I think Houston, I think they're motivated. I think they're tough. I do like them to go to the Sweet 16 as well. So here, let me roll that out. I like Nebraska. I agree with Nick about them being a sneaky one. I like them matching up with Houston, but losing to Houston. I like Duke to make a run. And then I like NC State and Marquette. So those would be my Sweet 16 teams coming out of there. Houston, Duke, NC State, and Marquette.
I like it.
Awesome. Let's jump into our last bracket, the Midwest bracket, the bracket with the team in the number 1 seed with the biggest question mark out of all of them. And then that would be Purdue. We'll get to Purdue in a second, but this has this has some good teams as well. Tennessee, Texas, Oregon, South Carolina. Yes, not the women's South Carolina, but still. Gonzaga, same after that. We also have TCU, another Big 12 team that Drew's going to tell us about. Of course, you picked James Madison over with Strabo. I feel you, pops. But see, it's going all around. You also have MAC own Akron. We will talk about them in a second. But the question is, absolutely giving them some love.
I said, woo! I can't wait.
Hang on, Rico. So here's my first question, though, and I'm gonna ask it just like this: when will Purdue blow this?
Second round.
Second round. Rico goes second round. Straub, what you got?
So I haven't getting to the Sweet 16, but and I'll get on it later. I have them losing to a double-digit seed that's making a Cinderella run, and we'll get to it.
I love that big time. All right, so I want to give them the floor. Rico, talk to me about this Midwest bracket. Talk to me about your Sweet 16, but most importantly, talk to me about the team that you have probably covered probably the most, maybe besides Cleveland State, and that would be the Akron Zips. Talk to me about that 3-14 matchup with Creighton. The floor is yours, Rico.
I honestly believe that Akron can beat this Creighton team. Enrique Freeman leads the country in double-doubles. He has 29 double-doubles, and he is one of the top 10 power forwards in the country. I love his story. Let me tell you a little bit about his story for those that don't know. Enrique Freeman is from Cleveland, Ohio. He went to a private school. He went to Akron on an academic scholarship. I think he was in a school that focused more on academics, and they didn't really develop him much as a player. So he went to Akron on an academic scholarship, made the Akron basketball team as a walk-on, and just became one of the best power forwards. Now, does he still have flaws? Sure. But he's instantly one of the best power forwards, probably one of the best players. He's the best player in the MAC, in my opinion, and probably one of the greatest players in Akron Zip history.
Leads the country in rebounding as well.
Yes, he leads the country in rebounding, and I have Akron beating Creighton in the first round. And if I'm wrong, then damn it, I'll die on that hill alone.
I love it. Drew, you've got some love for Akron as well.
Yeah, they were this close to getting devastated by the portal last season. They did lose Ray J. Dennis to Baylor, but Enrique Freeman decided to stay. Ali left for Butler, but then came back. And so they have a lot of core players, and I like them. But man, Creighton can shoot the cover off the basketball. And so I love Akron. I think this will be a close game. I think this will be a game where Akron leads at some point. But I think that Creighton, other than that loss to Providence in the Big East tournament, has been insanely hot. And so, it hurts me to say, but I think Creighton gets past Akron on this one.
I understand. I love Greg Tribble too, man. Like, he commands that offense like so well. And people, I think what was so slept on about Akron is their ability to stretch the floor. He's already scary, Enrique Freeman I'm talking about, down low. When he's able to knock down shots from three, then it's really hard, because not only can he dominate in the paint, but when he gets out deep, it's say goodnight. That was one of the issues that teams like Kent had in the regular season when they faced off against Akron.
And in the MAC championship. And here's shameless plug. If you check out Rico's page and the 216 Sports Network page, you'll find his stuff from the MAC championship. So if you want to read up on Akron or you want to look up on Akron, you can find some stuff there. And if you jump over to our Twitter X account at Straub Bros Sports, you will find all my stuff from that championship game. And that was a big one. There was a moment, and I'm going to get lost here. I believe it was in the first half, not the second half, but at one point Enrique Freeman stepped to the 3-point line and knocked one down, and that was it, because now Kent had to come out and guard him and had to find him no matter where he was on the court, even though I don't think he shot another 3-pointer for the rest of the game. And of course, I'm going to be wrong on that, but I don't have that stat. But I know it wasn't many. But the point was having to stretch the defense out, and he did that big time. He's a great rebounder. Creighton has somebody who kind of can bang with him. Here's the problem. I have Creighton making it to the Elite Eight. I know I'm wearing a MAC championship shirt. I want to give all the love to them. But in the same way, I had to pick Notre Dame over them because that's my Irish, and I had them making a run to the Elite Eight. I have Creighton going to the Elite Eight, so I unfortunately will be taking Creighton there. I apologize, but all love to you, Akron. I will be rooting for them. I still will probably bet on Akron. I'm not gonna lie. So I don't always put my takes where my money goes. You'll have to deal with that. You can take that up with me on another time. Here's the other thing. I actually think Purdue can make it out of the first round. I know that's like crazy that's a wild take.
They didn't do it last year, so
I understand. I don't think that there is. And I have to double check because now I have to jump back. Oh, it's right in front of my face. Utah State or TCU. I have TCU making it. Give me either of those teams over Purdue. I don't even care.
wow.
I just don't believe in it. If they make the run, that's fine, but I'm not 100% here for it on that side. My other Sweet 16 teams in that region. So I have TCU. Remember that whole thing about coaches?
Mm-hmm.
You believe there's a man that coaches at the University of Kansas, and his name is Bill Self. Yeah, I like me a good coach come NCAA tournament time. So give me TCU, and that would then give me Kansas against them as well. And then on the other side, I have, like I said, Creighton, and I got to throw it up here because my guy took it from me too. I have Tennessee coming out of there as well, beating Texas and making that Sweet 16 run. Straub.
All right. So I have Purdue beating
You're
TCU.
gonna roast me for TCU, so go ahead. I know you want to.
No. I like TCU, and I have them beating Utah State. I just think they don't have the size to bang with Purdue and Zach Edey, and so I think they make it to at least this. I think Purdue makes it to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
I also have Tennessee. I have actually Tennessee going really far in the tournament, but I also have them in the Sweet 16. I have South Carolina actually beating Creighton. I think South Carolina gets really, really hot and has got proven to be really good. So if they get hot at the right time, which I think they will, they have a chance. My last Sweet 16.
Go ahead.
And is someone I started laughing at when you said it. I have number 13 Samford beating Kansas and then upsetting Gonzaga. Now, let me explain this. Kansas is a team that is relying heavily on their stars, Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson, to return from injury and play well. Because with them, they have wins over Kentucky, UConn, and Houston. Without them, they had a 20-point loss to Cincinnati in the conference tournament, which was really showing of their weaknesses there. Samford is a fast three-point shooting team that I think will cause massive chaos. Jaden Campbell is shooting 48% from the three, and he is one of 8 players to shoot 38% behind the arc. This is a team that I think can get one over on Kansas, who is depleted in their injuries. They will definitely not have Kevin McCullough. They might have Hunter Dickinson back. And I think that they can knock him out. And then if we're talking about Gonzaga, this is a team that has been shown in and out of conference that they are not the same Gonzaga team. I think Samford has a clear path to one of the Sweet 16. But like I said, I have them also upsetting Purdue and going to the Elite Eight. And so I have Purdue, Tennessee, South Carolina, and number 13 seed Samford in my Sweet 16.
I wanted to throw that up there. That was some love for the Zips. So I reserve the right to just do whatever I want in this bracket. So I already have Gonzaga losing in the first round. I had them losing to
McNeese.
McNeese. So
Three and
why
three. I
not?
get it.
Why not? I'm gonna change my pick, and I'm gonna go Samford and them, and I'm gonna actually put Samford in versus Purdue or I'm sorry, not Purdue versus TCU instead of Kansas. So there, I just lied about all of this Bill Self stuff, and
I'm
don't
gonna get
even
yelled
care.
at when all this doesn't work out, and you've just like wasted your tournament here.
It's the only thing I did it for, so I don't care. I'm allowed to, and I'm all right with it. So we already answered the question about whether or not we thought Akron would win a game. Rico believes so. Unfortunately, me and Drew do not. But hey, it's all good there. Okay, so that will do it for your 4 regions there. Oop, I went back to the wrong way. So, all right, fellas, it's time to get down to where it counts. We've got our Elite 8 teams. So it's time to go into your Final 4. I have UConn versus Iowa State. I have North Carolina, or I'm sorry. And I have, wait, I'm a mess. I apologize. I have UConn versus Iowa State. It's the only one I needed to talk about. Give me UConn to make it to the Final 4. Drew.
Yes. So I have a massive upset in the Sweet 16. I have Auburn over UConn. I think that offense gets stupid hot for no reason. And I think that they are just too much for UConn. But, and this, like I said, this could be a Big 12 thing. I am in love with Iowa State's trap defense. I think that literally if you don't adjust within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the first half, you are going to be down double digits to this team. They are consistent offensively. They are a monster defensively. I have Iowa State beating Auburn into my Final 4.
I love it. Rico, give me your Elite 8 in the East region.
In the Elite 8, give me UConn over Iowa State. I think Iowa State is just, they're a good team, but like you said earlier, are they for real? I think they're for real until they see UConn, and then it's nah, dog. We just playing, and that's just give me UConn over Iowa State, and I got UConn and the first team to make it to the Final 4.
Beautiful. We'll move to the West. I have North Carolina and Arizona. I think I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to take Arizona to upset North Carolina. Give me Arizona making a run all the way to the Final 4.
That's pretty interesting there.
Yeah.
I mean, I also have North Carolina and Arizona, but I think that this North Carolina team is ridiculously strong. You saw it in both. I know this Duke team was a little weaker, but going into Duke at the last game of the regular season, just handing it to them, I think that's a very big marker on how good this North Carolina team is. And like I said, due to the upsets and due to Arizona just being good offensively, but not as good of a defensive team as they've been in the past, I like North Carolina going into my Final 4 over Arizona.
Beautiful. And then
I have North Carolina and Baylor.
Ooh.
North Carolina and Baylor. And I have North Carolina beating Baylor because Arizona, they're gonna get past Long Beach State. They're gonna get past. I picked Dayton over Nevada, so I think Arizona get past Dayton. I just don't think. I don't think they've been great defensively. They're kind of a liability, and I think North Carolina is going to exploit that. And they don't have an answer for Baycott. Nobody, honestly, in my opinion, in this region has an answer for Baycott. So give me North Carolina and UConn the first Final 4 matchup.
I like
RJ
it.
is a dog for real. And yes, he is. He's you know what I'm saying?
All right. For me, I got chalk in the South. I got 1 versus 2. Give me Houston versus Marquette, and give me Houston to win to make it to the Final 4. Straub?
Yeah, I got Houston as well, but I think just the blue bloodness is the best way I can put it, of Kentucky overtakes Marquette in the Elite 8, or the Sweet 16, my bad. to make it a matchup with Houston. But like I said, I think Houston, while it scares me to do it, I think Houston at their best is the best team in the country. And I think they overpower Kentucky, and I think they go to the Final Four. Marquette, a great team, but unfortunately a very similar thing to what happened last year with Marquette. They are a very high seed, but then their best player, Tyler Kolek, is pushing through an injury. Last year was his hand. This year it's an oblique. I think they'll be good to get past the Western Kentucky, and then I think a Colorado, maybe even a Florida if they make it. But I think once they get to Kentucky, I think that'll be a little bit of an issue. I think Kentucky goes through, but I think Houston overtakes all of them.
I love it. Rico.
I have Houston over Marquette. I have Houston and Marquette. I think North Carolina State is really playing with confidence after that ACC tournament win. So I actually have them getting past Kentucky in the second round to meet Marquette in the Sweet 16. But Marquette will just be too much. Marquette and that offensive firepower, too much for North Carolina State. I like Marquette and Houston. And I think, like you said, Houston is just playing lights out. And when they're at their best, they are really at their best. Give me Houston and the third Final Four spot.
I love it. All right. Oh, I went too far.
We're both clicking. Just click it. You got it.
Thank you. So our last one. I'm going to pass on this one because I'm actually going to probably change my pick as I'm thinking about this because I'm changing my bracket literally live as we're doing this. So I'm going to punt. Straub, give me your pick.
Yes. So, like I said, I had Tennessee, but I also had Cinderella Story Samford in my Elite Eight. However, I think very much similar to Houston, they have their downs, but Tennessee at their best is one of the best in the country. I think it's too much for Samford. I think Samford has a great run, but I think Tennessee overpowers them and gets that final spot in the Final Four to match up with Houston.
I like it. Rico.
Oh, my bad. Tennessee and Kansas in the Elite Eight, and I have Tennessee beating Kansas. I think Kansas they find ways to win, but that lack of size is going to come back and haunt them in the the Elite Eight, excuse me. And Tennessee is going to exploit that. And I have Tennessee in that fourth Final Four spot, and they will play Houston for the right to go to the national championship.
I'm going to change this 19 times before Thursday. So for and you zoom in on me now. Thanks a lot. So
I gotta get to that.
Right now, you know what? This doesn't even make sense if you've been following along, but I don't care. Give me Purdue, and I am going to still take Creighton to make that Elite Eight run. I know I don't make any sense. And give me Creighton. Give me Creighton to take on Houston in that second Final Four matchup. My bracket is an absolute.
I was gonna say I cannot wait to see this on Thursday when you actually have to do it permanently.
Cue the meme from Always Sunny in the conspiracy episode with just the strings and just the lines everywhere because that's what my bracket looks like right now. All right, so here it is. Let's get to it. Your Final Four. Give me your Final Four and your champion, Strabo.
All right. So on the left side, which is the East and the West. I had North Carolina, Iowa State. While I like Iowa State, I think North Carolina is good enough offensively to break through it, and I think they're good enough defensively to stop that Iowa State offense, which is good but not great. So I have North Carolina going in. And then on the right side, I have Houston and Tennessee. Like I said, both teams, when they're really good, are one of the best in the country. But I think if they're both at their best, Houston is better. I think that defense is insanely good. I think that offense is insanely consistent. So I have Houston overtopping Tennessee. And then in my national championship, Houston over North Carolina, a classic. I have Houston. I have them winning. I have them getting there. And I think Kelvin Sampson is a deserving national championship head coach in the final.
I like it. Rico, give me your Final Four and your national champion.
Andrew, I like the way you think because we kind of got the same thought process. I've been picking Houston all year. I'm like Houston's gonna be some things. So, in my first match, I got UNC and UConn. I think it's the end of the line for UConn. Some of them will go to the NBA. Some of them will go overseas. Some of them will get a job. Give me UNC over UConn in the first Final Four matchup. Houston and Tennessee, I think it's just Houston's time. They should have beat UVA a few years back. But unfortunately, no, that was Auburn. Never mind. I'm sorry. What was I don't remember. But Houston should have won a few years back. I remember that.
When they played Baylor. That was when they
they should have beat Baylor. Excuse me. I got Houston and UNC in the national championship, and I'm going Houston. I think Houston is your 2024 NCAA college basketball national champions, and it's about darn time.
Yeah.
So for all our kind of back and forth on the women's side, all three of us rode with South Carolina. We went all around on this men's side. I changed my bracket 19 times in this process. However, the team that I picked to win it has not changed since I started my bracket. So this will be funny. In my first Final Four, I have UConn over Arizona. In my second Final Four, I have Houston over Creighton, which means 2 number 1 seeds battle it out. UConn versus Houston. And yes, without sharing any notes, the pod is unanimous on both champions. Give me Houston to win it all. And as you said, Samson, a worthy champion. So yes, give us all South Carolina on the women's side. Give us all Houston on the men's side. And that's how you have a crossover bracket special. Mic drop.
Let's go.
Love it. Drop the mic. Yes. There we go. Give us some odds of some stuff that's going to go on here. As you see, you want to gamble? I want to gamble. I'm going to put some dollars on it. Literally some dollars. That's it. UConn, obviously your favorite there. North Carolina, who have a lot of people have picked, some good odds. Tennessee too. I love sprinkling something in on some Tennessee for some championship odds. Some Final Fours there, but there you see some big ones. Mississippi State, Creighton. Like I said, I believe Creighton to go there plus 300. Iowa State, a lot of people's picks plus 320. You got some good money out there. No matter what, you can play it safely and you can have some fun. Go ahead, Strabo, put up the fun ones.
Yes, we got some fun props here.
And let's be honest, there are always buzzer beaters, period. So I hate that it's that number is a minus 110 for the men, because it should, if that's the case, it should be the same for the women, because there's going to be one there eventually. But the other things that you obviously that are in there that I like, any 1 seed to lose in the first round. I don't know who it'll be, Purdue. But I'm just saying it is possible. That 14 and 15. Especially on the men's side, ooh, that is some pretty numbers. But yeah, anything in there stick out for you, Strabo?
Yeah, I think that buzzer beater any game in the women's is awesome. Right. I love that. A buzzer beater in round 1 is a little tough, but plus 300 plus 450, it's hard to go wrong on maybe a standalone by itself. And then I agree with you that any 14 or 15 seed to win it's not guaranteed, but like it happens every single year.
Right, you got to put
it's one of those teams that it's beautiful to see, and especially to put on something.
Here are my 3 locks. These are the 3 that I myself will be putting in. I will be putting in the buzzer beater for the men. I will be putting in any 14 seed to win, and I'll be putting in the any game for the women's. So, well, I'll probably do the any game for the men's team, even though the brown one is redundant. But those are the 4 that I'm rocking with. I'll put a couple of dollars on both of them. If you can parlay them together too, I'm doubting you can, but if it's possible, why not? Like, let's go, baby. It's time for it. But yeah, so that's your men's side. That's your women's side. I think Rico agrees. I think Straub agrees. This is going to be not just an awesome men's tournament, but the women's tournament is going to be just as good. I think this is actually kind of the first time we're getting a disservice by having all of this at once like this. I know the women are staggered, correct? I don't think they start until I think the week after the men start, but still, we're going to have way too many games on at once, and I'm going to be wanting to watch all these girls play as well. The Final Four for the women will be here in Cleveland. So that is something to definitely check out as well. Rico, I really, and so does little bro, appreciate you jumping on with us. Appreciate you doing this bracket special crossover. The 216 Sports Network, that's where you can find the whole group of us. You can follow us on Facebook, follow and like us there, and you can like and subscribe on YouTube. Please, please, please do that. You're also finding this on Rico's YouTube at the Rulers Minute as well. Subscribe to both. You're there. You can click back and forth. Subscribe to both of us. On the 216 Sports Network, that's where you can find all of us. When my computer screen decides to work, there she goes. And there she went away. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, as Jay is covering your Canton Charge and your Cleveland Cavaliers. The Rulers Minute with Rico McGee, where he hits you with everything from those Canton Charge and those Cleveland Cavaliers to the MAC and some NCAA men's and women as well, as long as some college football coming up too. Outside Interference and the Straub Bros Sports Show, where you find me, Big Bro Ken, Little Bro Andrew, giving you everything that you need in terms of news and notes on the sports and the college section, and of course, the footy. Thank you guys. The Straub Bros Sports Show, you can find us on TikTok at the SBSS. You can find Rico on TikTok at the Rulers Minute. You can find us on Twitter, now X, at Straub Bros Sports. And that's where you get everything that you need. Rico, you know what I don't know if you do know, but at the end of every show, we like to say love yours. So when we do get there today, I want to throw that out to you to give you that thing. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us today. This has been an amazing thing to go through. Like I said, the Straub Bros Ruler Minute NCAA men and women bracket crossover special. Boom, I nailed it because I said don't make me do it more than once. Like I said, I'd like to thank Rico. We're definitely going to be jumping back in together as this group of 3 as the NCAA tournament kind of moves on. I don't know if it'll be Sweet 16, Elite 8. We'll figure that out as a group together, and we'll let everybody know where they can find that. Other than that, I think I am done for this week. Little bro, you got anything?
Yeah, everyone have a great week. And remember, work does not matter this week. It is all about college basketball. Just have a phone up. Doesn't matter. Find ways to watch it. It's going to be a great turn. Both tournaments are going to be great. But just have a great week and see you guys next week.
Absolutely. And Rico, give us both endings. Give us yours and ours.
Love yours. We'll see you in a minute.